What's going on, Facebook group? I'm Coach Stefan. This is Coach Riley. If you haven't seen her here yet, say what's up. And I want to, for people that are new, I want to introduce who we are and what we do, because I know every single week we're welcoming new people into this group. So I'm Coach Stefan. I'm the owner of Pursuit Health Performance. This is Coach Riley. She's our assistant coach. She's a holistic health expert, and she works with a lot of the women in Pursuit. If you're like, what the heck? I just joined this Facebook group. What is that? So Pursuit Health Performance is a company that we started this free Facebook group to give back to our everyday heroes. And what we do is we create custom exercise and nutrition programs for our everyday heroes, which generally in this group, you're probably a first responder, medical professional, military member, but we also have a lot of other people that don't fall into that category. That's just kind of who we give back to. And I'm a vet, my wife's a nurse, and that's kind of the gist of what we do. But today we're going to get into a little bit of food, right? Because when I talk to people, and I know Riley can attest to this, everybody's like, nutrition's my downfall. And I know with social media, I will be the first to admit, sometimes even as a coach, I get a little anxiety. Like there's a lot of stuff out there that is like, this will kill you. This is bad. This is good. This is terrible. And although there's some truth to a lot of those things, we want to kind of clear the air for you and give you guys just a few tangible things. I'm not trying to cause food anxiety for anybody. I know everybody's on like a different journey, but Coach Riley has gone through her own journey where she used to eat all the, what would you call it? Like normal
fitness,
fitness
foods that are promoted.
For sure. The normal fitness stuff, right? The protein bars, the protein powder. And like, it's not that stuff's going to kill you, but there should be some things that you guys might be eating on a regular basis that you're like, oh, this is super healthy. Like, this is fine. And really what you want to do is you want to look at like what symptoms you have. And I mean, there's a lot of things. We'll dive into it. So Coach Riley, if you don't mind, introduce yourself a little bit and then maybe give people a little bit of background and also kind of what you're currently doing working with people in the program.
Hey everyone, so I'm Coach Riley and I'm very much into the holistic side to fitness. Like Stefan said, I had my own journey. I got into sports growing up, being active, and then I got into the fitness industry. So I started going into bodybuilding, training, and I was eating all the fitness foods, all the foods that all the influencers were putting out there, the pre-workouts, the protein powders, the bars, low calorie, sugar free, low fat, all those options I was consuming. Definitely lost the weight. And then I had a lot of gut issues. I became very sick, a lot of acne. So then I discovered the holistic side to fitness, and a side of fitness where you have a healthy metabolism, weight loss, adding on muscle, feeling better internally, externally looking better. So that's kind of my own journey, and that's who I am. A lot of what I do with clients in here, you'll hear me talk a lot about the analogy of your body being like a car. You're basically a car that runs off of regular gas. So there's different type of calories here, and I'll use my hands so you can stay with me. It makes it easier. So when it comes to food, not all calories is the same. 100% calories matters. That's what's going to help you lose weight. That's going to help you add muscle, whatever your goals are. But the key is to also look at nutrients, ingredients, the portfolio of the food, and take the analogy of yourself as a car. This side of things, you're a car running off regular gas, but you're putting in diesel. This car is not going to go anywhere. You're not going to get to your destination, your goals. The car is not going to feel good. This is basically the side of things of calories that isn't a lot of nutrients, nutrient dense foods, right? This is more of like those protein bars, the low calorie marketing, the sugar free marketing, those foods that push out there to think that they're healthy and better for you. But when you look on the nutrient side of things, it's depleted of that and it's not fueling your body like you would do for a car. Whereas over this side of things, you're a car, you run off of regular gas. This hand is calories that have filled with nutrients, great portfolio, and that's going to help you get to your destination even further. So that's the analogy that I like you guys to think of when it comes to choosing your food sources. And the regular gas is also going to come from looking at your ingredients. Usually, the less ingredients, the more fuel to get yourself that regular gas instead of diesel when it comes to optimizing your results with how you look and how you feel.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And if you guys see me looking like my monitor, my camera's here, my monitor's there, but I'm trying to kind of stay engaged. I probably should move it. But yeah, no, that's a good analogy. And I'll be the first to tell you, I know that some of you are in here for performance, but like who doesn't want to look good? And I'll be the first to tell you that whenever I reduce the amount of ingredients, I look way better and feel better. Because look, I promise you, I've been at both sides of the spectrum where I looked really good. And I mean, I'm still beat up, but I was very beat up. I was inflamed. I had a lot of energy crashes. I felt fluffy. I know that you're like, oh, you're so lean. But even when you're lean, like imagine you had a six pack. It's You're at a certain leanness where if you could start to see when you lose it quickly, right? Like that's the whole point is I would like be lean and then I would eat these foods and they'd make me inflamed. And like for me, dairy is one where like I can do a little bit, but like my wife brings home cottage cheese and yogurt. It's not that they're terrible, but for me, for my body, I could tell I get very tired. I get very lethargic. I break out. Um, and yeah, it's just not like a great food for me. And there's other things that maybe are more hidden that you might not be aware of. But I could tell you that the best I've ever felt, and I'm not telling you to get on this diet, I'm just giving you information. The best I ever felt, like just cleanest, was when I did paleo diet. And I just ate meats, nuts, fruits, and vegetables for like 45 days. And it's crazy what your body does too. Like before that, I would be always chewing sugar-free gum, need to like Gatorades, things like that. And after, I mean, I really didn't even crave like any type of sweets at all. Like it totally reset my cravings, my energy level. And I know that that diet is kind of unsustainable for the vast majority of people, but you don't have to be 100% dogmatic. Like I don't eat 100% paleo anymore, but that's the majority of my diet. Like I add in grains just because I found out what works for me. But you would be surprised of just like and the thing too is like dieting doesn't have to be ultra restrictive and it doesn't have to be difficult. You'd be surprised of how many clients I've worked with where I'm like, "Hey, could you do?" And I'm not promoting crash dieting, but I just want to see, okay, this person is like trying to lose weight. I'm experimenting. I'm like, "Do you think you could eat paleo style meats, nuts, fruits and vegetables for like 30 days? Like could we just try it?" And every time they lose a lot of weight, their energy, their skin clears up and it's an elimination diet. It is because they're not eating the chips and they're not drinking the alcohol and they're not drinking the milk and they're not doing the protein powders and things like that. And some of that's okay in moderation, but like every time, basically every health marker improves. And I'm not even talking about
Mm.
their blood health markers, which those usually do too. But what were some foods, Riley, that you just absolutely try to stick away from? And I know you're like deep in your journey, you're very regimented on your food, but what are some things where you're like, this a no-go, or you try to get your clients to stay away from?
I would say probably the foods with a long list of ingredients. I'm
Mm,
always promoting to not fall for the greenwashing and the tricks of the marketing and labels on the food
yeah.
and to always look at the ingredients. The ingredients are going to tell the truth. The marketing is going to tell you lies. So I would say that's the biggest thing with food to stay away from. I would also say majority protein bars. It's very hard to find protein bars that
Yeah.
are actually clean and real food. That's probably number 2. Number 3, I would say a lot of the foods that say like no sugar or low sugar on the front of it, because usually what you're gonna find is it's gonna have, like, a whole bunch of other ingredients that are just another name in the form of sugar, and
Yep.
that type of sugar is actually even worse for you because it's not providing any nutrients and 0 calories for a reason because there's no nutrients. So it basically tricks your tongue and your brain into thinking that it could be a huge reason as to why you're overeating food, why you're having more
Mhm,
cravings, and that's hard to stick into your nutrition when
mhm.
your brain is completely telling you the whole opposite because of what this food is putting onto your tongue. I'd say that's number 3. I'll
Yeah,
definitely put some foods out there that I would really, really recommend. I know a lot of us coaches here at Pursuit can also recommend this too, but it can be very controversial, but red meat, the type of red meat, I would say is probably like number 2 of amazing nutrients and the portfolio of what you get out of it. Number 1, you can be crazy like me and go into some organs, but I would
yeah.
say like a grass-fed red meat, the when you look at the difference between foods, like not only just calories, but the nutrients, it's just packed. It's probably like the most nutrients that you can get from any other food.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I
I put
mean, you brought up a lot of good points, so we'll break them down again because I know that's a lot of information, and catch me if I'm wrong. But number one, you guys want to stay away, and I'm not going in order here, but number one, you want to stay away from a lot of like artificial sweetener type stuff. And I'll be the first to admit I'm not 100% innocent, but I'm way better than I used to be. And usually, I do take protein powder. I try to find the cleanest ingredient one, and the reason that I do that, which they're not the best, they have gum in them. I know it sounds weird, but it's like an emulsifier, a thickening agent, which too much of it cannot be good for your gut. But like for me, it the damage outweighs the benefit. Like I don't feel like it upsets my gut, and it's an easier way for me to get in 40, 50 grams of protein. But if you really are like not super set on that, doing like grass-fed beef in some form, steak, ground beef, whatever, is probably the best thing. I'm a huge fan of red meat. And if you're like, oh, but red meat takes forever to digest and it just sits in your body, blah, blah, that's not true. Okay. Yes, it takes longer to digest, but your body's very, very smart. And for me, I like all types of meat. I just would get sick of it like every day, but I probably have red meat almost every single day. I'm fine. I'm kicking. All my health markers are good. Coach Mike, our performance coach, lives on steak. He's an animal. Riley, that I mean, I promise you, you guys are fine. There's a lot of hearsay. Even in the group, actually, there was somebody that commented and said, I want to do a 3-day detox. And I go, well, why? Is it because you are, I mean, you got to ask yourself why you're doing a detox. And this is a little bit off topic, but I'll circle it back. Is like, is it because you're irresponsible with your nutrition and you've been really bad and then you're like trying to stay afloat, right? It's almost like you spent all your money and you're irresponsible, and then you're like, I'm not spending a penny for a week. Like that's not responsible. The responsible thing would be like, hey, I'm in a budget, right? So are you doing a detox to make up for your binging, or are you doing a detox? And this person goes, I want to get rid of all the sludge. There's no sludge in your body. That's bro science. Like I get what they're getting out of, but a lot of people will, I need to cut out red meat. You don't need to cut out red meat. You need to cut out all the other crap you're eating. Like all the other things with lists of ingredients are like, my son eats these breakfast sandwiches, which I'm trying to get away from. And you look back and it's this long. It's disgusting. And it seems like it's not a big deal. And it probably one or two of them won't hurt you, but most people are creatures of habits, which means what you eat is like normal. I mean, if you started looking at the back of the ingredients of like a lot of things in your food, you probably couldn't even pronounce half the names. Is that going to make a difference in a month? Probably not. Over a couple years or a year, yes, that's when you're going to start noticing different things. And the world of holistic health, which Pursuit isn't really like all about, but we definitely have people that have gut health issues and hormone issues and metabolism issues. And a lot of that might come from probably a combination of eating crap, eating processed stuff, drinking alcohol. Yes, I hate to break it to you, but like that will destroy your gut health. There's
Mhm.
a lot of different things. I'm not saying not to, but there's steps, there's moderation. We have people that come in that like, think, all right, I'll do this one thing. And they do that for a month and then they implement another thing and another thing. It's a journey. Uh, the second thing is protein bars. And I know they're easy, but guys, I used to live on protein bars. They're the worst thing to fill you up. Okay. I know they taste good. They're like a candy bar, but check this out. It would be no different. It depends on what protein bar, but like, I know a lot
Mhm.
of you guys are doing the like pure protein bars from Costco, whatever. It'd be no different than you like eating a Snickers and then like drinking a protein shake. You understand that? The protein in there is the lowest quality shitty protein that you can get. Like just because it says protein, you're like, got my 20 grams. Not all protein is created equal, right?
Mhm.
Perfect example. You go to a steakhouse and you get this grass-fed organic cow that flew in from Wyoming and got butchered the other day, and a McDonald's beef patty. They're both 20 grams of protein. They're both beef. I don't even need to make that. I mean, right? So
Super
it's the
great
same.
analogy.
Yeah, it's the same thing when you're looking at like protein bars, right? And so it's just some things to be aware of. Another thing that I wanted to mention too is like vegetable oils are a really
I was gonna
terrible,
say your seed oils.
yeah, terrible thing. A lot of inflammation, and they're almost in everything. And the food industry is extremely smart. Okay, very smart. I've taken nutritional marketing classes. Like, if you ever see a box of wheat thins, they have like wheat on them, and you think, oh, wheat, it's healthy, it's whole grain. Dude, soybean oil, like second ingredient, terrible, worst, terrible, terrible oil.
Even in your salads, like a lot of the dressings in your
Yep.
salads, like you think salad is so healthy and good for you, but you look at the dressing and it's coated in this inflammatory oil.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
If
there's a lot. There's
I
Go
was just
ahead.
gonna say, if your body's inflamed internally, like the last thing really it's gonna think about is helping you reach your fitness goals. Like it's got other responsibilities to work on, so that's definitely important as well.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if I said, "Hey, sit down in this chair and I want you to assess like how you actually feel." Like, I want you to go second by second through your day. What do you is your knee hurt? Does your elbow? Are you noticing crashes? How do you feel when you wake up? Blah blah blah. Like, how do you feel when you work out? Like, if we actually assessed it, most people's health is like pretty bad. Obviously, if you join this group, you're wanting to get healthier. And if you're like, I just care about performing, I want to look good, I don't give a crap about all that. Take it from somebody that's like pretty shredded and jacked and in good shape. It matters. Even Coach Mike, our performance coach, which is stronger than me and probably more performance in certain areas than me, he eats extremely clean, like very, very clean. I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but I know he's very like carnivore style diet. He doesn't, he has a little bit different approach, but it's a lot of red meats. It was like the staple of his diet. And really, when you look at like even all the coaches, we're our own people, we have our own goals. Most of us have like not a lot of ingredients, right? Even in like my breakfast, I do eggs, some avocado oil, I do some like oat bran, but it's like oat bran. Like that's it, one ingredient. I'm not doing the quick instant oatmeal packets with the flavoring and the blah 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 blah. And then I throw fruit in there. Fruit. There's just there's no ingredient. It's just
Mhm.
fruit, right? So
Yeah.
there's some ways too where you guys don't have to eat paleo, but you can. I really try as little ingredients as possible. And here is the power. The power is so you can go out to a date night or whatever and be like, I don't care. Not that you should pick the worst thing on the menu, but if you're eating really clean 80-90% of the time, one meal, one cocktail is not going to kill you. You might actually feel it. You might be like, wow, my body is so used to
You
to
will
eating
feel
healthy. Yeah, and that's happened to me. That's actually what caused me to reduce alcohol out of the military is once I cut it out for like 6 months, which I know sounds crazy. I started reintroducing it and I just felt like shit. So I want to do it less and less and less. And it's not that I don't ever drink. Tomorrow's my, well, no, at the time of recording this, but my birthday is coming up and I will probably have a drink. And you know what? I'm going to be fine because I don't drink that often. And all the things I
Mhm.
eat are clean. I'm probably going to get a dessert too. But you guys have to look at like what you're eating on a normal basis. And if you don't know, if you're like, I don't even know what to start buying, we actually have some guides for shopping lists. We're actually creating another one right now. So you can comment guide down below and we'll send you those. Or you can ask in the group, hey, what are some foods you guys stick to? What's like your bulk of your shopping list? Because I could tell you, and Riley's probably the same. You probably buy the same stuff almost every week, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely more of, like, an animal-based, like, nutrition guide. Not full on carnivore. I
Yeah.
would say that's kind of like the middle of paleo and carnivore.
Yeah. And
It's in
yeah, and I'm totally down with that. I mean, I know that it's a progression, right? If you're eating like all type of westernized diet, which make most people are, it's a big jump. And this isn't something you have to do like in one day, but it is, I'm telling you, the more you go towards like animal-based stuff and you start pulling back on some grains, like you'll feel better. And even when I did paleo, I didn't eat a lot of nuts because like some people are really sensitive. Coach Mike's like, I can't eat nuts. They make me feel terrible. So
Me.
Everybody's a little bit different. It is a little bit of experimentation, maybe doing an elimination diet, right? Like, hey, I'm going to eliminate nuts and see how I feel. That's how I found out that dairy was bugging me. And I actually like, when I say dairy, I know people say eggs and milk. It's mostly like cow-based milk stuff. Um, for me, I eat eggs every morning and I'm fine. And actually, I feel worse when I don't eat eggs. Like eggs are like my steak. I mean, I buy really high quality eggs. I feel good. I don't have bloating. I feel strong. And you have to experiment with what makes you feel good. Like sweet potatoes, that's that's my OG carb source. I'm an animal. Like I could eat sweet potatoes every single day. I feel really fueled. And for me, I know Coach Raleigh probably sits in a bit different boat. I like oatmeal. Oatmeal makes me feel very fueled. I don't eat a lot of it, but like one bowl of oatmeal a day really fills me up and I feel like I get carbs and energy. Now, I will say that I kind of stick to more of that when I'm like trying to put on some muscle. When I'm cutting, I would say 70% of my carbs come from fruit. That's just me. Coach Mike, I know this, I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm just giving you some variations. Coach Mike he's not a fruit guy. So you can accomplish all these, but again, the big theme is it's not a lot of ingredients. And there are some things we're trying to stick away from. A lot of artificial sweeteners, limiting those. Anything that's packed into like packaging type stuff. And here's the thing. Meal prepping actually becomes a lot easier the cleaner ingredients you get. I mean, yes, grabbing a protein bar is no work. But the only thing that really takes prep, like really, really, is meat. And then I guess if you're eating some grains, right, like rice, whatever. But like meat is the only thing you really have to prep. Like if you're getting like yogurts and cottage cheeses and things like that, it's like pretty much ready. Fruits ready, vegetables are ready. So, taking it with you to work and doing stuff is actually pretty easy. And I guarantee you, if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, for lunch, I had this snack bar and this thing and this thing. Number one, it's a lot of calories. Like those bars are this small and they're like 240 calories. If you were to eat like whole foods, you'd have like a half a plate full. You'd be so much more full, so much more satisfied. And I know the protein bars are yummy, but yeah, you guys got to stay away from those. Looking at the ingredients, and these small changes will make you just feel better. Because that's one thing I hear. I mean, I do all the calls welcoming people into our group, and one of the most common things I hear is, I just want to feel better. And when I ask them, well, what is that? It's a combination. It's like low energy-ish in that bubble, right? Whether that's crashing or not waking up. As soon as you clean up your diet, you will have more sustained energy. You won't have to depend as much on caffeine. I will never probably completely cut it out because I love coffee, but you won't be like, oh, I need it. Your body's running off of nutrients, right? We're not designed to be. Go ahead.
I said we got that regular gas going in, no more diesel. And you start to make like all those symptoms, like you may not even notice that there were symptoms before. You make like all that unconscious, like conscious again. You're like, wow, like I didn't realize how shitty I really was feeling and how down my body was.
Yep. It resets your baseline. Like we get used to, it's almost like an injury, right? It's like, I know a lot of you guys are beat up in this group. Like, oh, I just always lift with that knee injury and the injury. Imagine I snap my fingers and yesterday you worked out. You'd be like, oh my God, this is a totally different experience. But we just get used to it. And it becomes our new baseline and we accept it. It's just like, how did you get 40 pounds overweight or 30 pounds or whatever, how overweight you are? Like that didn't happen overnight. So you just like got used. And then if you're like, well, I haven't really lost, I've been that overweight for 6 months or 7 months. You just get used to it. And that it's a dangerous place. And if you're like, well, I haven't got used to it. Well, I would challenge you a little bit and say, you got used to it enough to not change. And maybe it's a lack of not knowing, which is literally why we created this group and what we're here for. But you guys need to experience what it's like to look good and feel good. And you might say, you're young, you don't understand. But we have people in our group that are in their 50s and 60s that came in saying they felt like shit. 6 months later, I mean, we do check-ins every day or every week, and we ask them, like, how's your energy? How do you feel? How was this week? And Coach Riley, I see all the time on her check-in forums, I feel so good. Like, not only just her confidence and things they show up with, but I feel good. My energy, I know she challenges her client specifically to eat a little bit cleaner and to shop a little bit different. And it's a compounding interest, right? I'd never take a guy that has a belly and be like, I'm going to get you cut in 3 months and you're going to just flip your life upside down. It's incremental changes. And the big goal is we want you to want to do that. Like, it might sound crazy. Like, what do you mean? I'm never going to want to eat salads and vegetables and all these things. I would argue that I was the guy that only ate, I worked out a lot, so I had that going for me. But I ate like crap. I ate fast food, I ate sweets, I was drinking all the time. I would eat bags of Sour Patch Kids, all these things. It was bad. And I went from like eating vegetables every day with my eggs for 2 years, and I craved it. And when I didn't get it, I didn't feel good. And I could literally feel the nutrients. Like, I craved that breakfast. And I could tell it made me feel good, my performance, my energy. So you guys have to think that like your gut microbiome starts to change also to adapt towards the things you're eating. So it's a really cool journey, and it's an incremental thing.
Yeah, it's really nice because now it's like it doesn't feel like you're fighting against willpower. Like you actually change your gut microbiome. You've changed your signals and chemicals from your tongue to your brain of your food choices. So yeah, you do start becoming like more addicted to these healthier foods, cleaner foods, and it's like less fighting against willpower. So that again helps you hit your nutrition goals. Obviously helps you hit what you want when it comes to your looks. It's just overall awesome to experience, and then you will probably become aware of the foods that you used to have and not like it anymore because you've literally changed everything within you. So it's really, really cool to experience.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm gonna just leave you guys on this. I'm gonna challenge you because you might be listening to this and say, okay, that sounds nice. You don't get it. I got kids and I got this and it's impossible. I have a kid. I have a 13-year-old and a new baby boy and a wife and a house full of pets. And I get it. It's really challenging to have that there. When I was in the military and I was gone all day, but like, really, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to say, you just have to be more organized, and you just have to take more time to make it a priority. That's it. You can't lean on that crutch, that excuse of I got a family, I'm busy, whatever. And the reason I'm calling you out, and hopefully you don't want to use that excuse, is because number one, I do it. Number two, three, four, five, all the way to hundreds and hundreds, is we've had people come through our group, right? That have that situation, that figure it out. Again, it's a journey, but they said the same thing. I can't, my kids only eat this, they're picky eaters, blah, blah, blah. But over working with their coach and like over months and months of implementing things, they changed. In fact, their family started eating healthier and their kids started eating healthier. And you really can start like a generational thing. Like, I know that sounds kind of extreme, but I come from a family where nobody's into health and fitness. My dad is like kind of into working out and stuff, but my whole dad side of the family, they're not like obese, but they don't go to the gym really. They don't exercise. Like, they are not live a fitness lifestyle. So I made it a very big point that I was going to change. And since if got married and my son's growing up, my family eats healthy, probably because of me. Good. And I hope that it keeps passing on and on and on. And it doesn't mean that we're perfect, but I would say that we definitely promote health. And I know a lot of you in here are parents, and that matters to you. And your kids are looking at you all the time, whether you know it or not. And you're setting an example. And if you're in the first responder community, it also tells me that you have discipline. It might not be prevalent in your exercise and your nutrition, but you have it. It's in there somewhere. So you just need to learn to apply that and just make time for it. You're already going shopping because you got to eat or you die. So you're already going shopping. You just shop different. You're already cooking, somebody in the house. Hopefully, if you're not, you need to start. You can't just eat out all the time. So you're already cooking, cook a little bit different. You're already, cooking the food, cook more to take it to work, right? Like, there really is no really good excuse. I mean, you can keep buying into the story you've been telling yourself and be in the same spot, but we don't want that for you. And obviously, you joined this group because maybe you saw an ad or whatever, and you're like, oh, that looks interesting. What was that? Why did you join? What actually enticed you? It means that internally somewhere, you have some type of internal narrative in your head and dialogue where you're like, I want to get healthier. I want to be more fit. I want to lose the weight. I want to feel better. So cool. This is the first step. Second step is watching this. If you're still watching this, the third step, the hardest step, is taking action, taking consistent action. So if you feel like you need help, you just maybe you legitimately don't know. We have a whole podcast, which is kind of like this, a little bit different, where we do trainings. And if that's not enough, we have some guides up top. And if you're like, hey, I just really need somebody to tell me what to do, like if I just actually had accountability and somebody like Riley to say, hey, eat these foods and do this and do that and this workout, then definitely chat with us. You can message me directly on here, book up a call, and you can work with us. So I appreciate it, guys. Happy Thursday. Again, we do these lives every Thursday at 3:45 Arizona time. So, join us. I don't know what time zone you're at. And they're obviously re-recorded if you're watching this on like repeat or re-record or whatever. So you can like, comment, subscribe, any type of questions you have, drop them below. And if you want that guide, you have a specific guide, right? For people
Kind of.
I can create one in one day. It's not that bad. But that way you guys have at least a shopping list. I know on our metabolism guide, we have like some foods. Obviously you can shop and get those too, but I appreciate it. Coach Riley, any last words or?
I wouldn't say any last words. Just make one step. At least just make one step.
Yep. All right. I appreciate it, guys. And we'll see you next Thursday.
See you guys.